Hallo Leute, ich befinde mich hier am Set von Supergirl. Ich habe den Film jetzt mittlerweile gesehen und bin wirklich begeistert. Milly Alcock als Supergirl ist absolut fantastisch und Jason Momoa als Lobo ist eine Offenbarung. Aber ich habe jetzt heute die Chance, mich mit Craig Gillespie zu unterhalten, den Regisseur. Und das ist auch gut so, denn ich habe eine ganz spezifische Frage. Denn there's a lot of peeing in your movie. I mean, really, more than in
No,
Spielberg's Disclosure Day.
I laugh.
Sure.
I laugh. I'm sorry because there was more peeing at one point, and we took some out. I don't know. There's a reality to that humanity of just living life, and it's like people pee.
Yeah, people pee and dogs pee.
and dogs pee. The dog pee is very specific. I think he's making a statement.
That's what I thought. That sets the tone for the whole movie, right at the beginning.
There was a couple of other dog pees that got taken out.
You get a sense that it's made of the same cloth as Superman.
Right.
But I like the difference because the difference are major. And how much fun was it to do a darker superhero movie? And how hard was it to balance the darkness and the summer blockbuster fun?
It always starts with character with me. It's funny. I went in, I met Peter and James to do the film. Mm-hmm. They were in the middle of shooting Superman. And I hadn't gotten the film yet, but I had a very strong vision for what I wanted to do from Anna Nagari's script. And I came in with 120 visuals that were dark, and gritty, and it was the fringe of society. I wanted to create this world that I hadn't really seen much of in space. It tends to be everything is very pristine and clean, and people look like they've come from the laundromat. And I just, with the poverty and like the fringe of society they're in, and the worn-torn areas, I really wanted to lean into that tactile messiness. And I've found my experience with filmmaking is you got to be as clear as you can up front, because you don't want to get months down into a movie and suddenly be like, hang on, which movie are we making here? So I'm like, this is what I want to do, guys. And I don't want her to wear the superhero outfit till very late in the film. Let's have them speaking the languages. I sort of threw it all out there, and amazingly they went for it. And I said, how much you want me to be in your universe with Superman? And he said, not at all. And I was kind of shocked.
Oh, okay.
He's like, we're approaching each of these movies like their own graphic novel. As specific to that illustrator and that writer, this is your graphic novel. And because it all happens off-world, I really had the opportunity to create our own world, because they don't really cross-pollinate at all. So it was an amazing, exhilarating, scary situation to be like, all right, I've got to really go find my own tone. So I just leaned into what I would want to see.
That's very interesting. I mean, it was fun to see Superman in this movie, but his present wasn't. No, I really like to stay with Supergirl, with Kara. So that was very nice. In your film, you often walk the fine line between dark humor and deep tragedy, and Supergirl is no exception. And a blend that reminds me of Billy Wilder movies. Do you agree?
That's very kind of you. I'd say I love the Billy Wilder films. I love that tone of drama and humor, and almost my goal is always to be almost subjective for the audience. Meaning, it's like there can be a scene that's got that duality, and the audience decides how funny it is or not funny, depending on their own experiences with life. Because it's like the humor comes from being very grounded in what that person is going through, and so it comes from a genuine place. I'm never trying to just do like a punchline, which I feel like I could definitely see in Wilder's work.
The Supergirl is very raw and edgy. And how did you and Milly Alcock work together to completely change the traditional, often very tame image of Supergirl?
It started with Anna's script, but it's like as the character evolves, as you get to play with it on the set, it tends to find itself. And Milly is such an accomplished actor. I was so excited to be able to dive into this and really like dig into the trauma and the humor and the pathos and the resistance and sort of the anti-hero attitude that she has. She's so reluctant to want to take on the challenge of being a superhero, but trying to find where that tone is, as you're talking about, with the humor of it. It was something that we'd work on every day. It's like we'd have the script, and I would work on some dialogue coming in, because I always wanted to have that balance of like how much humor can we have in this scene? How much do we need? And so it was a running joke that she'd walk up to me in the morning. She's like, "What do you got?" And I'd pull out my phone and I'd have all these lines to try. And I sit very close to the camera with her, and I don't cut. And as we're playing, I'll throw stuff out. She'll play with stuff, and you get to do this sort of dance of like exploring things and pushing it and seeing where it goes. And then it all lands in the edit. And then it's sort of like, it kind of reveals itself. And the interesting thing in this, she got tougher in the edit. You know, it's like I found the stakes were so high and the themes were so heavy that she couldn't joke too much. Like, we had to take out some of the jokes because she needed to, there was this ticking clock and she was on a mission. And so that defined her in a way.
And what I find interesting is in her journey in this movie is, as you mentioned, she only wears the costume in the third act and close to the end, and yet, because of the choices, and I don't want to spoil anything, she makes in the final confrontation, you get the feeling that even if she's now with Clark and you guess, well, she will be his sidekick, or you almost get the tension right off the bat. I'm very curious how there's a next movie.
I love the ending. It was always in the script, which was amazing. And James never backed down from that. We never shot an alternate to that. But I think it truly defines her as her own person, separate from Superman. They have a very different belief system,
and that is set for the next,
which I think is exciting.
But the heart of the movie is the relationship between Kara and Ruthie. And how long did it take you to find Eve Ridley for a perfect partner for?
That was the longest part of the casting process. Was trying to find Eve, because it's a tall order. She's in nearly every scene of the film. They're together. That dynamic between the two of them, amazingly. We did a callback, and we had 4 young actors come in and read with Milly to get that chemistry. And with the two of them, it was immediate. It's like there was a rhythm to them and a banter and a spontaneity. And but it was probably about 6 weeks before we started shooting.
The casting all over the board is perfect.
Thank you.
Yes, and I have to mention, seeing Jason Momoa as Lobo is a revelation. When you watch him playing the part, you almost you can feel his excitement that he can finally play this part. I remember an interview with him when for the press run of Aquaman. And he told the story that when he got the phone call that DC want to cast him for something. And he immediately thought it was Lobo, but it was Aquaman. So okay. But was he? Did you feel the same excitement from him?
I mean, in the first meeting with James and Peter, we're talking. We're like, all right, so Jason's playing Lobo, right? And yeah. It's like 15 years in the making for him.
Yeah,
he was so excited about it in the best way.
Yeah.
In some ways, that's formidable because he knows the character so much better than I do. It's like he's been obsessed with it for so long. I had to do a deep dive and really get up to speed. What period of Lobo were we going to do? We quickly narrowed it down to the 90s version of the comics. I mean, there's a million different versions of outfits, but we wanted to try and really stay true to the actual comic book style of Lobo. And then he came in and was so gracious, because whenever you're trying to create a character that's bigger than life like this, you need to be able to play. And he gave me from 0 to 10. You know, it would be these incredibly intimidating, fierce and then almost like Beetlejuice, like kind of irreverent, crazy, humorous, and everything in between. And then we get this amazing trust that we've discover it in the edit and refine it and find that character.
Yeah.
And so he was so gracious with all of that, and I was thrilled with the energy on set was so fun too, because you've got Milly playing Supergirl, that's like sort of a reserved, abrasive sleuth of a character, trying to stay under the radar at times, and he's a whirlwind. And so when those two collide in the film,
Yeah.
like, there's such a dichotomy that it's fun to see.
I like their banter.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's yeah, it's a really great introduction for this character. I hope to see him in another parts of the movies. But let's talk about the villain, because every superhero can only shine when he has a great adversary. So, Matthias Schoenaerts, tell me, what did he bring for you to the table to play this part?
Amazingly, Matthias auditioned for this, and I was like, I've loved his work for decades, and was thrilled that he wanted to actually audition.
Yeah.
And we worked on the character for like 45 minutes, and the playfulness that he had, and again the fearlessness of trying things and not being afraid to, explore, was so exciting. And then immediately after that audition, we're like, he's the guy.
Yeah.
And he came in, and he was so gracious on the day. There was nothing that was off limits, and to be able to really explore the extremes of like a psychopath like that, and what his motivations are, and what he is aware of in terms of the consequences of what he's doing, was really fascinating. And every moment with him was absolutely like riveting. It was like there's never a bad take. It's just like, which direction do we want to go with this performance? Because it was all so beautiful to watch.
Yeah, I like him a lot in this part. Actors like Margot Robbie, Emma Stone, and now Milly Alcock give fearless performances in your movies. How do you make them feel safe enough on set to take such a big risk?
For me, the acting part of movie making is what I enjoy the most. And funnily enough, it started from way back with Ryan on Lars and the Real Girl, and it's the idea of collaboration. It was something I let go of back then, to be like, when an actor has an idea, if they want to try something, try it. It's like explore it, let it happen, try and make time for it, because you're working with such talented people. So I've kind of set up a system where I don't cut, I'm by the camera, and we can play. And it's like, go again, try it again. What if you tried it like this? And it's like, so there's nothing's precious in a way. And it's like, you get to do this dance or throw things out, or something might evolve into something else. And it's often those things that are unscripted that are the most memorable for me. Like in each of those films, I can think of a moment that happened on the day that is so like close to my heart. And they're like the most magical parts of filmmaking.
Yeah, yeah. You are a needle drop guy, a passion you share with James Gunn.
Among others.
Among others, yes. But when do you hear songs you want to include into the movie? Do you hear them when you read the script, or do you hear them in the editing room, or both?
It happens. It happens in a million different ways. Sometimes it'll be a song, in Cruella, like on the day. Like I throw songs in on the day, like in Cruella, with Emma Thompson, as she's the Baroness walking into the store. I just threw the doors on there. It didn't seem like the right thing at all. I was not thinking of the doors for her. She felt a lot more classical. But it had such a kick-ass introduction to it. It never left the movie.
Yeah.
It's like I was doing a scene with Emma Stone where she's drunk in the elevator, and we did the first 3 takes. And then I came up to her, I'm like, I feel like you should be like dancing or something, maybe a song. And she's like, what do you got? And I pulled out my phone, and I'm like, how about these boots are made for walking? And she's like, play it. And I played it once.
Yeah, that was.
And she did one take. So sometimes it happens on the day. Sometimes it might be 100 songs before we find it. But I will shoot the movie knowing we're going to have music there because you need to make space for it. You need to design a camera move that can give you that room. So that's something that's always designed.
You love social outcasts like Lars, Tonya Harding, or Cruella. What draws you to those characters?
I find I don't know, maybe it's something in my own story. It's like I haven't quite figured that out yet, but I do find it's so much more interesting to see somebody that is overcoming adversity or feeling like an outsider or rebelling against that, and what that journey is in finding themselves. I don't know whether it goes back. When I was 19, I left Australia and moved to New York City. Then knew nobody. Lived at a YMCA and sort of started building my life there. So there might be something to that whole outsider thing with that, but I need to do a little bit more work on that.
My final question, Craig Gillespie, why are you creative?
I have to be. It's the way that I stay sane.